Hi everyone, welcome to the MrpTech podcast. This is episode 168. My name is Matt, and this is the weekly podcast discussing everyday tech for everyday people. To start off this week's show, I want to make sure I sort of get the word out here. It has been a while since I've had the chance to record here on the podcast network, and the reason for that is because I've been in the middle of a move the last few weeks, and sort of this got put on the back burner, so to speak, over the last few weeks, and I'd like to get back into it. So in the process of this move, I've sort of built up a home studio that I'm going to be recording from now on, and what I would like to do is invite you all to check out the Discord chat room again. If you have never been there, it's been quite active over the last week or so, even with my limited amount of time being on there. And there is a whole great community that is starting to start to thrive there. People from all over the world in our Discord chat room. If you'd like to check out our chat room, go to mrptechreviews.com and click on the Discord button, and you can join us for free anytime, even when the show's off air. So if for some reason I don't put a show out during the week, usually I'm in the Discord room and I am trying to post things when I can. There's a lot of great comments. There's general discussion. There is a spot for audiobooks. There's sort of a Podnuts lug where you can talk about anything Linux related as well. So there's lots of different topics and chats in this one for the MrpTech podcast. So I want to invite anybody out there to join in on Discord, because it is a whole lot of fun. And I'm not sure, I sort of did this episode off the cuff. We may or may not have a few people join in a little bit later on. I tried to get the word out earlier, but being that it's close to the holidays, I'm not sure if we're going to get anybody on here so far. So, all right. So in the process of the move, the first thing that I want to do is wish everybody out there a happy holiday season. And I hope everybody out there gets to spend quality time with their families and friends, and hope everybody stays safe for the holidays. You know, there's a lot of people on the road. There's a lot of people traveling, and right around Christmas time is the busiest travel days of the year. And just remember, I believe when it comes time for New Year's Eve, if you're in the United States, I'm pretty sure that AAA has over the last few years, they have paid for designated drivers and rides for anybody who needs them. So just keep that in mind if you're traveling around the holidays. Be safe, and I hope everybody has a great holiday season, no matter what it is that you celebrate. So thank you all for listening for this past year. I know it has been kind of sparse here with this podcast over the last few months, but I really do plan on getting back into a regular recording schedule now that the home studio is built. And I'll be recording here from now on, basically. As I was setting this up, I want to tell you about an experience that I had with my ISP Spectrum, and I've set up the home internet, and the whole process that I have gone through with Spectrum has been quite lengthy. I set this up about a month ago to have them come in. I wanted to do a self-install, which was very easy for me to do, and I wanted it to start on a certain date. So I called about a month ahead of time, and really it was a quite simple setup. And the first person that I talked to on the phone, I told them what I wanted. I told them the internet speed that I wanted. I told them exactly what I needed. And they went through the process of trying to oversell their services without even telling me about it. So what Spectrum tried to do is they tried to set me up with a home phone line, landline, without even consulting me, without even asking me over the phone when I was talking to them. And I thought that was a bit of bad business, so to speak, because after I finished talking with the rep, I figured I was getting my internet set up. I had to go through a confirmation process where he transferred me to another department, and I had to confirm everything. And when I was doing this, all of a sudden they're asking me to confirm that my new phone number would be this particular number. And I immediately declined that. But then this whole process, I was switched to a person who was basically on the other side of the country and couldn't change the process. So here I am. I was originally speaking with somebody local. I got a new service set up, transferred over to some other office somewhere. When I did not confirm that service, and then went to customer service, transferred to customer service, I wasn't able to change it. So I had to cancel everything, go through the whole process of setting up my service once again. And I wasn't exactly thrilled about having to do that. And so I've had the service for about a week now, and still not everything is working the way it should. I've had some problems with some of the devices that were given to me with Spectrum, and I've had to constantly call for tech support for a few different things. I don't really want to get into it on air, but one was a known issue, a known bug that basically they said would take 2 to 3 days, then 2 or 3 days became a week, and I'm still waiting for a phone call. So those who are listening on Discord right now, I may actually get a phone call tonight with the resolution of that. I've been promised a phone call tonight. We'll see if it actually happens. So I may need to take a short break here. Those who are downloading the episode won't notice because I'll edit it all out. Okay, so now that I have everything set up, one of the things that I wanted to do was set up a static IP address. And the reason for doing that was I've been talking about Apple Profile Manager over the last few weeks. I've also been talking about Nextcloud quite a bit in Discord. And my current Nextcloud setup, I'm using something called noip.org. And that sort of gets around the whole idea of having the static IP set up, but Apple does not allow you to use those services when you're using something like Profile Manager. So you had to have a static IP address before you could even get started. And basically what I wanted to do with Profile Manager was be able to have my iPads connect to my home Mac and be able to get updates from my Mac from anywhere. And in order to do that, you need a static IP address. So it's another phone call to Spectrum. And of course, that you need to have a business account in order to get a static IP address. So haven't really got that far. I'm not sure if I want to pay the extra monthly fee for that. I'm not really sure if it's worth it at that point for the little amounts that I need to do. But eventually what I'd like to do is connect Apple Profile Manager to my domain. It's actually a subdomain, and do the same thing with Nextcloud for my business. So I guess if I really want that, I'm going to have to get the business account. But just kind of a rough week with getting my internet service up and running. But at the same time, over this past week, I have been checking out a new TV. It's not a new TV show. It's a TV show that has been around for the last few years that sort of off the cuff, I never really was interested in watching. And I believe I was online somewhere at some point, and people were recommending to watch this show because they're saying it's the best science fiction show that's on TV right now. And so being an Amazon Prime member, I decided to check out this new show, and wanted to share my thoughts with you about The Expanse. And The Expanse has had several seasons, 4 or 5 at this point now, and I knew absolutely nothing about it whatsoever. And being that I'm sort of a sci-fi fan to some respect, I wanted to check it out and give it a full run for its money. So basically I started watching it, And the very first episode, when I started watching it, I was pretty distracted, actually. I wasn't really ready to start watching it, and sort of in the middle of the move, and it was the first kind of night that I was settling into the new place, and my dog was kind of pacing around and checking out the new environment. And so the first episode that watched, I wasn't exactly thrilled with the show. So when you go to imdb.com, basically the storyline for The Expanse is we're 200 years in the future. The solar system is fully colonized. There are these detectives that are called solar helixes that basically are assigned to the asteroid belt where a lot of mining colonies are. There's series out there that basically are mining resources. You have Earth and Mars that are fully colonized, and something that's called the belt, obviously, which is the asteroid belt. And there's a lot of politics in between Earth, Mars, and the belt. So basically the premise is there is an unprovoked attack upon one of the ships that is sort of a freighter, and it's originally believed to be attacked from the MCRN, which is the Federation from Mars. And the news of the attack spreads throughout the system very quickly. And because of the sort of tense situations between Earth, Mars, and the belt, it could very easily escalate to a war between the three different factions. And being that it's far away from Earth, there are a lot of struggles. The UN, United Nations, is in control of a lot of different actions in the in the solar system, and it's sort of an onion that is being peeled away episode after episode, and sort of revealing the mystery that's happening. And there are a lot of plot twists and a lot of plot turns that you don't really expect in the show. So the first couple of episodes, I wasn't exactly really into it. I didn't really understand that it was little by little chipping away at a kind of a mystery. The characters weren't really all that appealing to me at first. It was very Battlestar Galactica remake-ish, I would call it. The real life physics of the ships. So it's science fiction, but with real life physics, I would call it. And I'm about 7 or 8 episodes into season 1 at this point, and it's starting to get my attention, and it's worth watching. It's not a show that you can watch lightly. You really have to pay attention to everything that is said, everything that is done, and I have no idea where it's going at this point. Quite honestly, I'm like 7 episodes in, and I really don't know the character names. I know a couple at this point, but the characters are like everyday people, and it's really hard to keep track of everything that's happening. I'm sure if I went back and watched them again, I probably would pick up on a little bit more. But it is a pretty interesting plot thus far. Just in season 1, I'm curious to see if I'll stick through it through the 5 episodes or not. They really haven't really sold me all yet, but I do see how it's getting better over time. So I'm anxious to do that. So I wanted to bring this up to you on a show and hear what your thoughts are on The Expanse. And if you think I should keep checking it out, then send me a message, mrptechreviews@gmail.com. And don't give me any spoilers, but tell me if it's worth watching through it or not. Now, changing the subjects here, the next few minutes I'm going to talk about Star Wars Episode 9, and I'm going to try not to give too many spoilers about the movie itself. So I do want to give a warning that I have seen the movie, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it as best I can without giving spoilers. But if you're not interested, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you may want to turn it off if you don't want to know anything about the movie whatsoever. now's a chance to, here's your spoiler alert for Star Wars Episode 9. So if you're listening on Discord or that type of thing, just keep that in mind as we're going through that. Spoilers may slip out, and I'm trying my best not to do that. So I'm going to put that in the show notes right now. Okay, so my spoiler-free thoughts on Star Wars Episode 9. Over the last few months, and leading up to every episode of Star Wars, I would oftentimes go back and I would watch all of the movies in order leading up to each movie. So even with Episode 1, 2, and 3, I would always go back and watch, the original series or original movies, that type of thing. And it's sort of a tradition that my brother and I have going out to watch the movies on opening night for Star Wars. We've done it for every movie that I can remember. And there has been a lot of bad press about Star Wars, the whole sequel trilogy. There has been a lot of comments on the fact that it basically destroyed the original plot of the original trilogy movies, how Anakin Skywalker was originally the chosen one, and he brought balance to the Force, and then this new sequel trilogy sort of destroys that whole premise. Now, there has been a lot of people who really enjoyed the latest trilogy. There's been a lot of people who really hated it. And there's been a lot of people who didn't connect to the characters in the newest trilogy. And I'm not going to argue what other people think about this trilogy, because each of us have our own opinion. My opinion is of this. I enjoy Star Wars. I enjoy the opportunity of going out and seeing Star Wars in a movie theater. I enjoy the new stories, whatever they are. And so this time around, what I decided I was going to do, instead of watching the movies, which I did watch a couple of the movies. I believe we watched The Last Jedi. I may have watched Rogue One too at one point in time. But this time I read the audiobooks all the way through, and I've been talking about that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it myself. But I just happened to finish Episode 8, the Last Jedi audiobook, the day of the premiere for Episode 9. So I was ready to go for the premiere of the movie. And basically, we were scheduled for the 7 o'clock show, the 7 o'clock movie. Now, we all know oftentimes you will sit and watch previews for upcoming movies, and oftentimes they take forever. I literally sat through over a half an hour of previews for Episode 9. And in the past, 15, maybe 20 minutes was like the normal for me, but this was over a half an hour. The movie, we were in there at 6:30. The movie didn't start till after 7:30. So I was a little upset about that at first. And I understand movie companies have to, make some money to keep themselves going, but a half an hour of previews is pushing it for me. And I'm pretty patient for the most part. But once the movie did start, getting into Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker at this point, once the movie started, it was, I don't recall much downtime at all during the movie. It was packed, jam-packed from beginning to end, full of action all the way through. And from the opening scene, almost all the way through the entire movie. The opening scene sets the premise of the entire movie. It's items from some of the previews that you have seen about Kylo Ren's connection somehow to Emperor Palpatine. And I'm not going to give into details on that, but that really sets up the storyline for the remainder of the movie. And I think the reason why The Last Jedi was not very successful, or excuse me, not successful, not very well appreciated by diehard fans is because it flipped everything upside down. And the idea of taking, these beloved characters and, number one, either killing them off in The Force Awakens, or the hero becomes the lost soul at one point in time, taking everything and flipping it upside down to what was unexpected. It was a brave turn of events in The Last Jedi. And I sort of had a feeling going into when I saw The Last Jedi, that this was absolutely done on purpose, and that they would resolve everything in episode 9. And so I kind of was viewing it as the overall trilogy. So a lot of people were upset at The Last Jedi because of all that stuff. And I had a feeling that it was going to come around in the last movie. And quite honestly, it does do that. So I feel that if you look at the new trilogy, 7, 8, and 9, a lot of people didn't feel that the characters, Rey, Poe, and Finn, were actually characters that you could get behind. There wasn't a lot of scenes with all three of them together in the first two, episode 7 and episode 8. They were off on their own different plot lines, and so they didn't interact a whole lot. But I feel everything comes full circle in episode 9, and there were so many throwbacks to the episode 1, 2, and 3. There was throwbacks to 4, 5, and 6 for all of the fans. There was resolutions of plot fixes and plot. One mistake from the original Star Wars: A New Hope was fixed in this movie. It just all around. And speaking of filling in all of what needs to be filled in, what they did with Carrie Fisher's character, from basically deleted scenes from episode 7 and 8, was unbelievable. The fact that they could actually do that and make it work in episode 9 with the latest story, and it's very, very well done. One of the things that I did for 7 and 8 is I didn't go and watch videos online for 7 and 8 before the movie came out. I really didn't want to know anything about the movies. This time around, I was watching just about anything that I could on YouTube about the movies, and I had to say, even though I did that, I was really pleasantly surprised with the whole movie. Are you going to get everything that you want out of a movie? Of course not. So I think the people that go into something like Star Wars and they're expecting only one thing to happen, and they can't get behind anything else because this is their youth, so to speak. It's tough for those people to accept anything other than what they want. I'm not like that. So when I went to the movies, I was expecting something new, something fresh, and a continuation of the story. And I didn't really care what the continuation of the story, as long as I thought it was entertaining. And I thoroughly enjoyed episode 9. Now, The Last Jedi, I believe I only saw it once in a theater. Normally we see it a couple of times. And really, the more that I've watched that, I've seen it 3 or 4 times now, the more that I enjoy it. So if you didn't necessarily enjoy it the first time, go back and watch it again and again, because there are some really great moments. Is it the best movie? Are they the best movies ever? No. There are definitely plot holes. There are definitely there's terrible dialogue in some of these movies. There is bad acting in some of these movies, but that's what makes Star Wars. And thoroughly enjoyed episode 9 all the way around. There's no doubt about it at all. And I would recommend anybody go and see it if you haven't seen it yet. I would love to get into spoilers, but I'm not really going to do that for the sake of saving somebody else who's listening to this from any accidental spoilers. But I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I'm just a Star Wars fan in general. I'm not a super Star Wars geek, let's say, but I do enjoy watching the movies, and I hope they keep going. I know Disney has said that this is the end of the Skywalker saga. I think that they'll definitely come up with a new storyline for the next trilogy. Doesn't have to do with the Skywalkers, but I think somewhere in the future you'll see Skywalkers again. You'll see that Skywalker name come back. So anyway, that is all I wanted to talk about today. I really just wanted to come on and get a show out, wish everybody happy holidays, and talk a little bit about what's been happening here, why I haven't been really on air all that much, and I hope I cleared that all up for you. If you'd like to contact me, I said earlier, you could send me an email, mrptechreviews@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you, no matter what the topic is. You can email me anytime there. Check out the website, mrptechreviews.com, or you can go to podnuts.com for all the other shows on the Podnuts Tech Podcast Network. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it home here and call it a night. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.